Good morning and welcome to worship. I'm Reverend Roy Atwood and I'm joined by Brady McQueenie. McQueenie with 3 E's.
3 E's.
I learned that recently and I appreciate that knowledge. We're talking today about, last week in service, we're in the middle of our, I think, a 3-week series on politics.
Mm-hmm.
And last week we talked about forgiveness. You were in the traditional service.
Yes.
You saw Mitchell preach.
Yes.
How'd that go?
I thought he did a really good job. I think as Christians, we really try to talk a lot about how we generally try to be good people and we forgive people, and that's like a big part of who we are. But I think Mitchell really touched really well on how the forgetting part of that can be really difficult, I think. Mm-hmm. And that I know sometimes I get in the space where I'm probably more inclined to forgive quickly, but forgetting can be really difficult. And I loved how he kind of talked about how if we can work on that forgiving and forgetting, that it releases a lot of, it opens us up to joy. And that was really touching, because in all, through my life, I've never really thought of it that way.
Yeah.
Of that it was in fact holding me back from moving forward.
I've heard people say like forgiveness isn't something that you do for the other person, it's something you do for yourself. Mm-hmm. Like at some point in your life, you're going to move on from this. Mm-hmm. So why not do it now instead of a month from now, a year from now, whatever?
It's definitely easier said than done.
Oh yeah, of course.
There are still some times where I'll think back and think, gee, I felt like I had gotten past that thing or whatever happened with that person, but it still is like in that narrative.
Yeah, just because you've forgiven someone, or you're ready to move on from something, doesn't mean that the hurt or the pain is gone. Mm-hmm. You can be like, if it's a friend or a family member, like, I am still upset and hurt by the thing that happened, mm-hmm. but I don't want it to be the end of our relationship. Like, right. I need to put it in the past and able to move forward.
Right. And I liked how he really kind of emphasized that it really is a two-way street, that if we expect others to give us grace in the times that we need it, that we also need to extend it as well. And that we need to be able to kind of move both ways and not be as maybe hypocritical about it.
Yeah. In the traditional, so I was in the modern service, mm-hmm. and because Mitchell was doing so many baptisms in the traditional service, we didn't, usually it's the same preacher, but Anthony preached in the modern service, which was interesting to get two perspectives on the same theme. So Anthony, he had an interesting perspective because he talked on the forgetting side. He says dementia runs in his family. And so this idea of we're not going to forget was really important to him, because he's like terrified of forgetting things. And so that was an interesting way he had with connecting it. And the other thing he talked about on the politics side was the degree to which educational polarization has continued to increase. Mm-hmm. So more and more people with college degrees are voting for Democrats, and more people without college degrees are voting for Republicans.
Right.
And so if you're on either side, of that spectrum, it's getting harder and harder to even hear and listen and interact with people on the opposite side, because you tend to run in the same circle, of people in, the same educational attainment. So you have to be extra intentional about listening to and hearing perspectives mm-hmm. of people in different circumstances.
Yeah, and almost making forgiveness in some cases like a common discipline.
Yeah.
I want to be in community with this person even though we disagree, but it takes a lot more intention.
Yeah, and especially in terms of politics, like it can become so personal because mm-hmm. it's about who you identify as and who you are as a person. To have someone, it can get deep really fast, right. And to feel like people are rejecting who you are mm-hmm. is a hard thing to move past.
Right.
So we solved it, so that's good. What are we talking about next? Now we're getting to know you, mm-hmm. and you are. You wanted to rank. We're having everyone rank their top 5 things, and you wanted to rank your top 5 Starbucks orders.
Right. So I think I'm somebody who struggles with having a lot of options at restaurants or any place. Like mm-hmm. if there was a more confined menu, think about like a Raising Cane's or something, I can know very quickly what I want to get because it's
Well,
so
yeah,
simple.
it's how many chicken tenders do you want?
Right.
And the answer is probably 4, maybe 3.
Right. So at places like Starbucks or whatever, I've been maybe a little bit more brave and willing to kind of go out a little bit more. So kind of one of my top 5, especially as we're getting into the holiday season, I love things that are minty. As I've gotten older, I love, mint chip ice cream and stuff like that. So I love getting a peppermint mocha.
Okay.
Exclusively to the holiday season, just because that's kind of where that drink sits for me.
I feel like I'm brushing my teeth every time.
Oh, yeah.
I have something minty. I'm like, this isn't the right time for this.
Maybe it's like that cilantro thing. That cilantro is good for some people, so it's soapy for others. So I love the peppermint mocha. If I need something where I really want like a good treat, I'll go for a caramel crunch frappuccino. If I want to get 10,000 pounds of sugar in. Love that.
Sometimes that's what you need.
Right. I love coffee just in general. Any kind of coffee product, I'm usually pretty into it, but I definitely love stronger flavors. So I love getting an Americano, just to love that espresso flavor. And I've really gotten into recently shaken espressos. So
What makes it shaken?
It's almost like essentially like a cold Americano.
Okay.
So, they'll have like, your oat milks and your sweeteners and stuff, but it's like a iced Americano essentially.
What's different between a shaken espresso and just a plain iced coffee?
It's espresso versus coffee.
Oh, I see.
So it'd have espresso in it versus just your plain black coffee. And because, my one holiday exception to food, to anything that's holiday oriented, is one of my love languages, I would say, is pumpkin bread.
Pumpkin bread's really good.
I can have pumpkin bread any time of year, regardless if it's super hot outside or if it's freezing cold. I can have pumpkin bread any day of the week.
That's good. So I might have betrayed my ignorance about coffee by asking some of those questions, because I don't drink caffeine because I have panic attacks, and that makes something that's not good for people who have panic attacks is more energy.
Right.
So I don't drink caffeine, and I try to stay away from sugary drinks as much as I can. So there's literally one drink at Starbucks that has no sugar and no caffeine.
Is it water?
Okay, water is also another drink. One flavored drink, and it's the passion tea, and it's like a hibiscus iced tea.
Okay.
And that's what I always get.
And that doesn't taste like super florally to you?
No, and sometimes I'll add some honey to it. And be like, well, then what's the point of not doing the sugar if you add honey to it? So then my other 5 have to be foods.
Yeah.
So I really like the crumble cake. Have you ever had that? It's like the crumble coffee cake. It's really good. And sometimes I'll get 2 of them. So now I'm completely negating the not getting sugar. And then I'll do like the pumpkin bread is good. The banana bread, I think they have like a banana
there's like banana
walnut, banana walnut something. You don't do nuts though.
No, and I'm allergic to bananas. So I definitely
So you're
can't
really
eat
out
that.
on that one.
Yeah.
And then every once in a while, if I feel like I want something more, their bagels are actually pretty good.
Really?
I know I'm supposed to be like a bagel snob because I lived in New York.
Right.
But their bagels aren't bad. Yeah. And you do spread a little cream cheese on it, and you're like, especially like in the airport, if you're like, just need something to eat.
Yeah. No egg bites or anything. Those are very trendy.
No, I don't think I've ever. They look weird to me. They kind of creep me out a little bit. Okay. You are in charge of Zone 56 and Urban Camp.
Right.
What is going on in those realms? Today, we're having Hang of the Greens, and that's led by Zone 56.
Right. So Hanging in the Greens it's our big service kind of leading into Advent. So if you aren't familiar with our calendar, it is the last Sunday before the Advent season starts. So a tradition that we love here at First Church is our 5th and 6th graders get to really lead the service, and they do all the pieces of worship kind of besides the sermon. And so they help prepare and decorate our Christmas trees, which look absolutely beautiful in our sanctuary here, helping to hang the garland, leading in parts of worship through the liturgy. It's really a spot for them to take leadership and really shine. And so this year, in kind of early discussions with our 5th and 6th graders about, are you interested in a non-speaking role or a speaking role? We actually had so many kids that wanted to do a speaking role.
Well, that's good.
So we're going to try to give them as much space and time to shine as they'd love to, and really see them showcase their talents to the church.
What's your favorite part of the preparation so far?
Wow. If you haven't worked with 5th and 6th graders, they have a lot of energy. And so getting to really be able to kind of tap that into something focused is just beautiful. So this last Sunday, we had some time to just kind of practice and get the choreography down a bit. And they are just so eager. They want to know the exact details of how everything's going to go. They want to make sure they're saying the words correctly, that their timing is good. They just get so excited about it, especially because the church is really showing that they are important and that we want to see them participating in worship in a meaningful way. So that's definitely, I think that's really big.
It's an interesting age because they're not like too cool for school yet.
Right.
And they're not like, oh, this is dumb, I don't want to participate in anything. But they're kind of like the oldest age where they're not too cool for school. So they have they can be involved in so many different ways that, a first grader couldn't be.
Right. And especially this group of kids this year has really gotten into volunteering overall of wanting to run the cameras for worship or, greeting, ushering, doing any kind of things that normally kids their age wouldn't usually be doing in an average church.
That's cool. Now we also have a couple urban camps coming up.
Right.
Usually it's during the summer, but we've got some special holiday themed ones.
Exactly. So last year we really sampled with adding these holiday sessions to kind of help out our families who need a little bit more care, especially during those holiday seasons where normally kids are out, but their parents still have to work.
Yeah.
So childcare can be a really big concern. And so all of our sessions that we've offered, we have a Thanksgiving session, a New Year's session, and a spring break camp session as well. And they have really grown in interest, especially with last year being the first year, especially with our Thanksgiving camp coming up. We actually had to open registration even more because more families wanted to get in once they knew that it was happening. And it's just 2 days, but having just that little bit of time for our camp kids to come back and have a little bit of fun at the church and learn more about their faith and have some time together and kind of grow and further relationships with each other. It's a really special time, even though it's different from our 8-9 weeks of camp during the summer. They love getting that taste of camp during the school year.
My parents always like to say, whenever we had done nothing productive at home as children, they would say, what have you done for the good of humanity today? And we would say, nothing, because we're children. So it is nice to have even though they're not in school, they're not just going to sit at home and watch TV all day.
Right. They're not just playing Roblox or Minecraft or stuff. They're coming, they're developing their faith, they're having good fellowship together and learning how to be better people and practice their faith.
Awesome. Are there any spots open for Thanksgiving and New Year's?
Currently for our Thanksgiving camp, we have one spot open.
Get in on it.
So we'll see if that one's going to even be open. And for New Year's camp, we have about 8 spots left, but we're already over half capacity.
Oh, that's awesome. Beautiful. Okay, so what have we got today? We're got our 3rd week of Faithful Friction. Anthony is preaching in the traditional service. We're not doing modern anymore for the rest of the year as we're taking the feedback that we've gotten from those services before we launch it in full next year. So Anthony is going to be preaching on love and how do we love well and how does love transcend conflict, which are such easy topics to just tackle. I'm interested in what he's going to say. What is your first initial impressions of those?
It sounds very daunting. And even as we briefly mentioned kind of at the beginning of this, the concepts of kind of forgiving and forgetting and love really is a big piece of that. And how do we love people in spite of our differences? I think I'm going to be very intrigued about how it's tackled.
How do you tackle it with the Zone 56 kids?
I think the best thing to do, especially in most conflict you go through in a kind of day-to-day space is just taking a step back and kind of seeing where I'm at the moment. A lot of times it's like, have I eaten today? Why am I really this upset about this?
Yes.
Like, am I just hungry? What's going on, at home or anything like that? Just really kind of doing a quick little kind of self-awareness bit. And also, especially working with kids who, energy kind of fluctuates a little bit, just really being open to what's going on in their lives as well.
Yeah.
And also kind of seeing if there is a conflict, what's at the root of the issue. They may be upset or saying they're upset about this, but what is really going on?
Yes.
And I think if we can all work towards being a little bit more self-aware, and especially teaching our kids how to be more self-aware, maybe some of these conflicts won't be as rough.
Yeah, one thing I learned from the premarital counseling class that we had here at First Church was a lot of times the argument that you're having is not the real argument.
Right.
There's something underneath. So I may be upset about this one thing, but it's actually because I'm not feeling appreciated or heard or understood. And so if you can move past the top line, you can get down to the meat of the issue.
Right, right.
It'll be interesting to see what Anthony says. I hope you all enjoy the worship. Thank you for watching our pre-show. As always, you can follow us on social medias, our email newsletters, and our website. And if you like what we put out, make sure you like, comment, and share on our videos. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy worship.